Hello, welcome to Shannon Gardens. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I wanted to give a little bit of an overview or an update on how the flower garden is progressing. So far I've done more cleanup, more of just the spring cleanup, like pulling weeds and things like that, but the roses have really come into their own just within the last video, which was not even a week ago. So I wanted to show you guys that, as well as showing you my vegetable garden that I planted a few days ago as well, and kind of talk about that a little bit, raised garden versus in-ground, and tell you my preference and why I prefer a certain way of gardening. So come along, let's go take a look. All right, here we go through the gate. And as you can see, things are really blooming now. All of these spreading roses, and then just your regular roses. And then of course at the top, the climbing roses. So there's just so many blooms. And I think the last video, I don't think that this one was blooming at all. And now obviously you can see how many buds there are that are about to open up, as well as how many are blooming now. So it's just so pretty. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out was the vegetable garden that was planted over the weekend. Obviously, we do them in raised beds, and I believe that we got these, one from Costco and then one ordered online, but from the same manufacturer as the one that we got from Costco. And we did tomatoes, jalapeno peppers, and then in the smaller bed, we've done a bunch of different herbs, and then I have mint there contained, otherwise it would overrun this bed. So you kind of, unless you want a lot of mint, you're going to want to do that in its own container. Otherwise it will just take over everything, and it will come back year over year. So what I'm going to do, if you'll notice, I put the labels behind the plants of the type of tomato it is. I really have always meant to keep track of the tomatoes and see which one grows the best, or which ones grow the best, so that I can try to look out for them the next year. But I don't like the look of these little tags, so I am going to write the names on some stainless steel tags that I got from Amazon and put them in here, and that way it'll just look a little nicer. So I will show you guys what I bought and go from there. Okay, so as I'm making these labels, I thought I would talk to you guys a little bit about why I prefer raised bed planting to planting in ground. And I think there's a couple of reasons. The first one is, for some reason, having the planters closer to the house means I will take care of them more. Our in-ground planting area was outside of our fence in the backyard, and I just found that having them out there, because I wasn't seeing them on a daily basis, or I had to go out there to take a look at them, and they weren't right in front of my view, I just wouldn't take care of them the way that I do in the container planters. And with them right here outside of our back area, I'm out here every day and they're right in front of my face. So basically I notice if something's going on, if they need to be watered, if they have any pests or anything, and take care of it. I'm just a lot more aware of what's going on with those plants when they're back here. I could not make myself go out every day and look at them when they were in the ground. And then honestly, it's just easier to handle for me doing container gardening. The soil is nice and fluffy, and so if you need to weed, it's very easy. To plant is very easy. And because we live in an area where there's clay soil, no matter how many times we tried to amend that soil, we just never got it to appropriately mix. And so it was always heavy. There were always a lot of weeds. I felt like I was weeding all the time, and if I let it go a couple days, there would just be so many more. I just found that I wouldn't dedicate the time to it that I should have. And so having them back here, with that being said, with me following up with them and looking at them every day, we had a much higher yield. The soil was in way better condition than it was in the ground. And it just made for a better gardening experience for us. So I know a lot of people do in ground. That just wasn't for me. It just didn't feel like that was the easiest thing for me to do. So anyway, that's why they are in containers instead of in the ground. And it makes for a much more pleasant experience. Okay. So I got these on Amazon. I'm just taking off the labels. I actually got the little black labels. I'm hoping that these hold up in the weather. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. Hopefully there won't be any fading. And then it came with these stakes and this white pen. So I'm just going to write the type of tomato that I bought and write it on here, and I'm going to track it. And so if it does well, maybe I can find the same one next year. And I tried to find things that were readily available that I recognized. In the past, I've tried to do a hybrid, or not hybrids, but organic or heirloom tomatoes, and I did not have much success with that either. It may have been because they were in ground. I don't know. Maybe the yield just wasn't as high, but I just didn't have as much success. That blue jay is yelling at us. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so I have the tags in, and I think that they look adorable. I really, really like that. So I planted a beefsteak tomato. This is called Bush Goliath. Then a Biltmore tomato. So I've not heard of that before. That was a new one. The jalapeno is there. I'm not gonna label that because I know what that is. Another beefsteak tomato. And then in the back, we have a Super Sweet 100, another Bush Goliath, Better Boy tomato, actually two of them side by side. And I'm a little curious to see how this is gonna work out, because last year, I couldn't remember if I did 3 per or if I did 4 per. And so I went ahead and bought 4, and hopefully they aren't gonna be too smushed together and they'll have enough air. We'll see as they grow. Might have to make some decisions, might have to move a couple out, but we'll see how it goes. And then, like I said, over here, I have different herbs, and I've got a couple of basil plants, oregano, chives, and cilantro, although the cilantro is looking a little sad. I had a great time doing the cilantro in the winter, and it lasted all winter, but it dies here in the summer. I have not had very good luck with cilantro. And then parsley and thyme and sage over here in the corner. And then this is lemon balm, I think. Yes, lemon balm, which I have not planted before, but it sounded delightful. It said you could put it in tea, and so that's what I'm going to do. So that is it. Vegetables are done. I will show you guys how the garden progresses. I'm very excited about that. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining me, and continue to watch. I'll show you how the garden progresses, how the flowers progress, planting pots. I'll be doing an update to our children's garden very soon, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. And anything else outdoorsy, so I'll just be posting it all here. All right, until next time, goodbye.